Good morning. Good morning and welcome to our town hall. There is no agenda for these meetings, and we just discuss things, and you come up and you give your name, and we try to go topic by topic. So what you'll hear from me a lot of times is, hey, does anyone else want to talk about this topic? And that way we're not, peppered with a dozen different topics and moving it around. So whoever wants to go first, just come up and give us your name just as a courteous and grab a donut and we'll just start discussing. So whoever wants to go first. Everyone's usually nervous about going first. Go first.
But did you have a donut?
Well, do a round of applause for
Thank you, everyone.
I'm cheering crowd.
I want to thank God.
But Gina, you're not allowed unless you had a donut. Did you have a donut?
I didn't, but I brought my own coffee.
Okay.
I need a minute to get going. I'm not like a big breakfast person.
Okay.
Give me lunch and we'll be here eating for 2 hours.
There we go.
I did bring a speech, but I am not gonna
Just,
give it.
super
Yeah,
casual.
yeah, it is. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of background and then explain why I am here. So United Way Worldwide has taken on a fourth pillar, if you will. We were education, income, and health, and now we are youth opportunity, financial stability, healthy communities, and community resilience. And so because of the work I'm about to talk to you guys about, we are piloting one of 4 United Ways across the country that are kind of piloting that community resilience pillar as a core part of what we do. And the reason for that is because Worldwide has kind of paid attention to what we are working on. And what we are working on is a series of grant applications in order to try and turn 80 Harris into a fully fledged community resilience center, so bringing in dollars to do that. And then working within a couple of neighborhoods in Panama City to create what we're calling like mini resilience hubs. So working in neighborhoods so that neighbors get that social connection, know who's around them, know that at Gina Littleton's house there's going to be water, at Mayor Branch's house there is a generator, at Ginger Littleton's house there's a chainsaw. And so throughout neighborhoods, like every 10 houses, every 20 houses, everybody knows that if another Hurricane Michael comes, this is where you can go get your resources. So the goal there is that people can bounce back quicker, but also so that there's less burden on government systems because people have kind of taken resilience back into their own hands. So why am I telling you all of that? So that you can thank me, first of all, because that's amazing. Thank you again, everybody. But mostly because when we write for this funding like this, funders want to see that your government and your partners are engaged. So all of our, like we partner with Rebuild Bay County, we get a letter of support from Rebuild Bay County. EMS, anybody that the funder knows that what we're doing is important, they want to see that your community is engaged. So I am consistently asking the city for letters of support, and it's kind of become burdensome because every time we have to ask, what are we working on? What are we doing? And so the city manager suggested that I come speak to you all to just sort of get permission to work with the city manager's office to get consistent letters of support. We are writing a bunch of different grants. We have about $6 million in grants out right now. That's all money that would come into the city of Panama City, spent in Panama City, and then hopefully alleviate dollars from the city in the future. So it plays a lot of roles. So every time we write a proposal, the focus may be slightly different. Like one is a Google AI grant. So it's this project I just told you about, Resilience Center, Resilience Hubs with an AI focus. One of them is Gulf Research Program. So it's that same project, Resilience Hubs, Resilience Center, with a focus on environmental education. So the proposals are all the same. They just have like slightly different avenues depending on the funder. But we would just like permission to work with the city manager's office to get those letters of support because as you know, grants, deadlines, lots of stuff, and we are applying to continue getting funding. So I was hoping you guys would just let us all work together so we can try and bring some money.
And just to give you more background, Gina would be like, I need a letter of support in like 48 hours.
Tomorrow.
And I'm like, well, I don't really speak on the behalf of the whole city. That's why I don't just go use our letterhead. I don't even have our letterhead file. And so, we should probably ask her questions, and that way it gives Jonathan sort of the approval or confidence that he can work either with my letterhead or whatever it is. But I don't speak on behalf of the city because we're all just commissioners.
So the letters of approval are for that specific project or that specific grant. in favor of, and if you need the assistance or backing of the city, it's there.
Yeah, and we'll usually write them. I mean, obviously you would approve, but we'll send the verbiage and all of that stuff. And it's really just, we partnered with the city on a $20 million grant a couple of years ago, 17 million of which would have gone to the city. We didn't get the grant, but it was a great partnership. So this is not new. We've worked together for a while. But this is, we support United Way. We're excited about what they're doing, and the city's with them. I do want to be clear, we're not asking for money. We don't need money from the city. We don't need resources from the city. We don't need staff time from the city. We are trying to bring that to the city. We just want support.
So I would support anything for United Way and other organizations.
Say that
as
again.
well.
Just end it just right there. I would support anything for United Way. You guys heard it first.
Let me finish that. So it sounds like exactly what you're asking for is what I would support. What I would support for United Way or any other organization that is trying to improve the city, trying to improve those around them. As long as it doesn't sign the city up for any resources, and you've said that what you're asking for doesn't. As long as it doesn't ask for money out of the city, which again you've said what you're asking for doesn't, then yeah, I would support the city manager's office just signing off on that. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice if there was enough time to get a signature where you could circulate kind of a brief overview of what the letter is, and Jonathan could circulate. That way, we're not like, whoa, what did the mayor just put
Not
his name
day
on?
of, you don't think?
But yeah, I mean, Gina's amazing, and United Way is amazing. We want to help them. So
Yeah, I'd echo those comments, just so that we have, because here's what happens. A grant goes in, city's names associated with it in some way or form, somebody asks me or anybody else, and I'm like, I don't know what that is.
that's his whole job.
So it kind of reduces the confidence level in our leadership if we don't know exactly what is
First
happening. So just some kind of brief
Sure.
of something like that. Yeah, I think in concept, like Brian was saying, I think it's good. I mean, your organization's obviously been around a very long time, very aware of the work that you guys do. And so just like maybe if we could just, at least for our situational awareness, I think that would be the most
Sure.
helpful
Yeah,
thing.
happy to do that.
So,
yeah, certainly if the letter goes out, like letting us know.
yeah, like,
Very least.
I
yeah.
do have a question. What at 80 Harris are you trying to do there? Resiliency Center.
Right, yeah. So a place for what Donna Pilson always calls gray skies and blue skies. So a place in blue skies to help people get the resources that they need to be more stable. So whether that is working with folks to get a rainy day fund, sitting with a financial advisor because they're consistently late on their rent, just providing wraparound services like United Way partner agencies coming, for example, and this is not it, but I'm just gonna every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, Life Management is there, Lead Coalition is there, Catholic Charities is there, Salvation Army is there. Tuesdays and Thursdays, Basic is there, United Way is there, the CAC is there, just so that there is a place for people to get wraparound services. As I can tell you, and as most of you know just from being with the city, it's never just one thing. It's never just the rent payment. There's always some domino effect that has happened before that. So if we can come wrap our arms around people early, because I think one of the key issues we faced after Michael is that it's easy to say you need to evacuate, but if you don't have two nickels to rub together, you can't evacuate. So if we can work with people now to try and create some of that resiliency, it's going to make us better off in the future.
Cool.
Any other questions?
No.
All right. Well, I'm glad I dressed up for y'all.
Yes.
Awesome.
You get our vote. You get your Oscar.
Thank you.
We'll have that later for
We
you.
dressed up as well, as you can see.
We want more organizations who want to do things who only need a PDF from us. Put you a PDF. Yeah. Hey.
Can we get that in a stamp? Just say mayor who signed?
I do think that Jonathan does have some discretion there on if somebody brings us something that says, "Hey, I would like you to sign this." Obviously, I think you can exercise discretion on what would be in the best interest of the city and not. So, just to caveat my comments from earlier.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if there's something that's controversial, I mean, Jonathan has the discretion to always bring it to the commission for confirmation. So, but I mean, I don't know of anything off the top of my head that would qualify for that.
But the fun part about this job is you never know what you're gonna get. You never know what's gonna come through on an
Never
email.
know what you're
You
getting
never
tagged
know.
on.
And
and
to your
things.
point, we spend a lot of time going, yeah, I hadn't heard about that yet. So, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're new.
I'll get something to y'all with because again, the grants change, so the focus slightly changes, but it's always the same project. So I'll send you something that just kind of outlines what we're doing.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And I just want to say thank you to Gina for your leadership in the collaborative effort that has continued to keep resiliency and in the forefront of the work that we're doing here. So thank you and your colleagues.
Awesome. Next topic. Yes, sir. Come on.
Frank, I've enjoyed your reviews of our team on
Yes.
the customer service survey.
Yeah, he does. He uses the form. I love it.
I appreciate this opportunity to address the commissioners. This is one of two topics I'm going to bring up. This will be my first one. My first is that I'm asking that the audience participation at the commission meetings be more clearly made so the general public, when they walk in not knowing anything, can make the right decisions. I made a poo-fall, or whatever you call it, last time, and it's not my fault, it's your fault.
It was.
So I'm here to correct you.
Yeah, I love it.
I hear
say
that
that very humbly.
that phrase is said quite often to each of us.
Where have I heard that before?
Followed by, what are you going to do about it?
I'm very familiar with that, Frank.
You have a great mayor and a great city and a great commission, so we're going to just keep getting greater.
I love it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay. I brought two types of agenda. One, the last city commission, and then I brought one from the board, Bay County Board of Commissions, and that I addressed. And I think there's some good ideas here. When I sat down out of nowhere, I could understand what's going on. This, I couldn't.
Yeah.
The criticism is that number 7, I gave these things to,
I'll pass them around.
this is the last agenda. Number 7, audience participation. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes. It doesn't say anything about you have to be on the agenda,
Yeah.
or if you have to be on the agenda, you have to come here every month. People just don't know.
That's a
So
great
they're
point.
gonna
Yeah,
make-
that's a fair point. It'll be fixed by lunch.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, we even need to encourage town hall. It'd be nice if people like, if you want to talk
By
open.
lunch on a Saturday.
That's how we roll.
It's great feedback.
Right, he'll be up there
Okay.
typing.
He
Now,
didn't say
this
which
is
lunch.
compared, this is the Bay County Commission meeting, and it has public comment here in the front. You also have this exhibit, which is like this, but it clarifies that that public comment goes to all the way down to I, the regular meeting. And then on a regular meeting, it has the topic for the regular meeting, which was at that time temporary moratorium on AI data centers. And then under that, it's public comment, in parentheses, open to any issue. So this makes it very clear that anyone can talk about anything. And I think that that has to be available at Panama City Commission.
Yeah.
It's free speech. These are public events. People have the right to know. That's First Amendment Constitution.
Right.
So I think that that insertion needs to be put in here. Made clear that the first part of the meeting is for public comment about existing
Yeah.
items. And that when we get down here, you can make comments about topics that you think are important. And you have a vehicle to do this, open to any issue.
Yeah.
So you'll have a,
Yeah, we do run our meetings a little differently than the county does. You know, one of my frustrations, and I've said this a bunch as a citizen, is you would come to a meeting and then you address the board and they all just kind of stare at you. And then you're like, am I even here right now? Because it's really hard to have a dialogue like this
Yeah.
in that chamber. That chamber to me is we appreciate the county using it, letting us use it, but it's very stuffy. It feels like you're in the principal's office. It doesn't feel you're talking to your neighbors, and it's a very weird experience even on this side. And so I didn't see productive conversation happening at those meetings, which is why I suggested keeping those meetings related to those agenda items, but that we spend a lot of time studying about and researching and talking to people about. And then these meetings are the ones where we can have this 30-minute discussion on data centers or whatever you want to talk about. There's no agenda here, and we have hours to talk around donuts, and it's super casual. And then, just in general, we as elected officials are so much more accessible than we were even 20 years ago. I mean, I got 47 phone calls one Saturday, different from different people. I get dozens of Facebook messages every day and comments. And so we are, to me, it's almost kind of sad that if there's something you want to discuss with us, that you have to wait to a city meeting and then get stared at by all your elected officials. And so this is actually my favorite part of this whole job, are these meetings, because it is such a casual conversation with your neighbors.
Yeah.
So we do run our meetings a little differently than the county, and we're trying to keep it related to the agenda items. And then these are the ones that you just come and talk about, whatever you want to talk about. So.
Or I suggested at the beginning of every meeting that you explain that to the crowd.
100%. I usually
Because
try.
everybody isn't gonna know, there's gonna be different people
good idea
there.
if you have
And
elders
say,
speak
well,
on that.
here it
Yeah.
is, you don't speak to items, if you wanna bring
Yeah.
something up, come to our Saturday meeting.
Totally. We could even put like a cover sheet on there and have
Yeah,
Christy do like a
yeah,
little cover
that would
sheet.
be-
Yeah, because it's really odd even being up here that I have to. Me interrupting someone is like a travesty, and even weird socially for me, being like, whoa, we don't, So we want to avoid that completely. So
Yeah,
I agree.
well, explaining it at the beginning meeting will take care of it.
100%. It's
Okay,
great
good.
feedback.
Thanks for listening.
Yes, sir.
So the added
back.
benefit.
Yeah, I love that.
I'll be back.
Round two's coming up.
The added benefit of these meetings is we keep Tim off the streets.
I wanted 3 times, not 2. That's for your own safety.
We gotta make sure we wand him before he leaves. One more time.
Who wants to go next? Next topic.
Streets.
Anyone want to go next? You're welcome to come up. There's no agenda. Whoever wants to talk next.
a compliment for the city. I was like,
Oh, we are desperate for one of those.
I have a
Do we need to-
compliment and a question.
Oh, yeah, come on up to the mic. Yes,
Come on,
ma'am.
please.
We can bring the microphone to her.
No, that's okay. I'll stand on my tiptoes.
And you're welcome to
You
bring the
can
mic
pull it
down.
down.
You can pull it down.
Yeah,
Yes,
pull it
ma'am.
down.
Just kidding.
No, the whole thing will move, the net. Yeah,
This
just pull
should
it down.
do it.
That
Okay.
works. Yes, ma'am.
Right. I'm Susan Bravo. I'm the Executive Director of Family Service Agency. The compliment, however, is personal. The week of before the 4th, I live in the Cove on Hamilton, and all of a sudden at 5 o'clock in the evening, there's massive lights, heavy equipment, giant pipes down the street replacing the sewer pipes. That was wonderful. Crew was great. However, nobody in the neighborhood knew about it, knew that it was coming.
What is the commissioner?
Okay. But the folks that did the work, bless their hearts, as hot as it is, they worked until 11 or 12 each of those nights. They did get it done. It was horrendous noise, but it doesn't matter. The work's done, and they were really, really good and very communicative when I went out and said, what the Sam Hill are you doing out here? Not like that. I really didn't, though that was in my head. But I wanted to say that because the city crews work hard, and that's a nasty job. The manhole in front of my house has been a problem for decades, and it's fixed. And so, good for you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We are definitely an imperfect organization trying to be better and better. So we always appreciate the feedback. Was that an emergency repair?
It was, yeah. It wasn't a scheduled repair. We would not plan to do something on the schedule at 5 o'clock at night and all of that. There was a sewer leak. I'm aware of the
On the
manhole
end.
cover,
Yeah.
but there was a sewer leak as well, and we have no choice but
No, it was fine.
24/7 attack it. Yeah.
And see, having a construction background from many, many, many years ago, I understand those kind of things. And also with the weather that we have right now, nothing wrong with working at night
Sure.
by any means. I'm glad I was not the MacGuffin household with the bright lights that you could
So
not
I
stop.
only have one kind of luck, and it's bad. And so the city found out that they had that sewer line when I was trying to buy that house. The one where it runs underneath the detached garage right there.
Oh, on the other side of the street.
That's where it comes
Oh.
from, right? So
Okay.
I got to spend about $2,000 extra on surveys trying to figure out where it goes, just for the city. Remember that, Devin? And so now we appreciate that, yeah. Yeah, so it was bound to blow up because they knew it was just a matter of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a couple doors down on the other side of the street.
Yes, ma'am.
With the manhole right in front of the
Yeah.
house, and it has been a difficult one for ages. We've been there since '88. We
Yeah.
built the house in '88. We're the one where we had a show because we have a basement, and people would come and say, are you, is it a swimming pool? No, it's a basement. What do you mean a basement?
Yeah.
Can't have a basement.
Yeah.
But at 31 feet above sea level, it's okay.
That's a mountain.
That particular area, as you know, Mr. McGuffin used to work for the city a number of years ago, but that stretch from that manhole to the next one is like, ironically or coincidentally, one of the longest stretches. So it's, to redo that whole pipe through there is a very disruptive project.
It
A lot of them are
was.
like one block. This one's like 3 or 4 blocks all the way back or something very weird.
It's very strange. They did an
Yeah.
outstanding job. They did an absolutely outstanding job.
Thank you.
So, just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
My question to you all is, I am hearing that you're considering, I won't say doing away with, but changing your approach to affordable housing. The city has lots. And I know you've been in discussion with Habitat, some of the other nonprofits. My personal opinion is that it takes both city, county, and nonprofits to make that work. The people that I serve, the homeless population, that's different. But I serve people who are low income, working as hard as they can to survive, doing what they can. Our numbers, we serve over 20,000 people a year. And in that, about 70% of them are working and doing their very best. So my concern is this: how are you, or have you gotten to the point where you're looking at what you're going to do?
Great question. Let's discuss that. We take in, and Jonathan can correct me, we take in HUD dollars and SHIP dollars and CBGB money, and we bring in all this money in. And the goal for me is always, how do we serve the most people and get the most done with money, period.
Right.
Whether we do it in-house or
Of
with
course.
partnerships. And full stop on that sentence is, what can we do? How can we get done the most, whether it's us in-house or Habitat. My perspective is that Habitat, because they have the advantage of their scrappiness and they have volunteerism, they can deliver a house, an amazing house, a nicer house than I had when my first house. Super, it's like 150, and then it's 0% interest loan. And that is probably, we're going to calculate, probably $700 a month, which is cheaper than you can rent half of what an apartment costs.
I'm very familiar with them.
Yeah.
I was on that board for several years.
Yeah.
The question comes back, and I understand that.
Yeah.
But they have limitations also.
Sure.
In personnel, volunteers, time,
Yeah.
accessibility, and so forth. So I would hate to see a complete shutdown of city involvement.
Well, the amount of money that we have is not like some giant pile that,
No.
we're talking about Habitat does like 10 houses a year or something. We don't, it's not like we're getting $5 million from
Yeah,
the federal government.
we get $240,000 a year.
So we can
from
help
SHIP.
Habitat build 2 houses or 3 more houses.
Yeah, so it's not going to be
Yes.
expensive.
Yeah.
Extensive, but,
Yeah.
but my bottom line question was, I would hate to see a complete shift out of city to private, to nonprofits. We can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
So if we work as a partner, if we work together, we can make it work. And that's really all I have to say.
Yeah, and I only speak for myself. What I'd love to see that department be is a intake of money and then compliance. So, and then every couple of years, this board goes, you know what we're focused on? We're focused on, children's services, and we're going to reach out to those folks, and we're going to here's what we define, and then who wants to do it, and we just cut checks and we just handle the compliance of it. That we're not doing so much in-house because a couple $100,000 just goes away super quick.
Let's see what happens.
say.
Well, yeah.
So if I may, I always thought we needed to get rid of the housing department because there was a competition with me, because I'm a real estate broker.
Oh, that's right.
But now I don't believe that. I believe that the housing department has a very unique purpose in its scope. It doesn't need to be this big, it needs to be this big. A lot of the lots that you're talking about, when a lot, anything that's purchased through housing and through a state or grant money, it has to come back through that. Otherwise, we have to pay it all back. Okay. For example, the houses that we have, these rental houses, my head spun around my body about 15 times the first time I heard that we were in the property management business. But when you hold on to that house for 15 years and sell it, we get to keep all the money. But if we sell it before 15 years, we have to pay back. We only can make exactly what we paid for it. There can be a spread of $200,000 or $300,000 that we can keep if we hold on to it. So there are some good decisions, some decisions that will get made out of fiscal responsibility to
Of course.
keep it, and then there'll be some that are, okay, do we want to move this along faster or hold on to it? I see the residential side of things, of those lots, as being we can be a participant or we can sell, but we can improve and change the look of the center part of Panama City. This commission can, and it's really cool to be able to think that you have a hand in that. But you got to do it the right way. You got to have an understanding of this section is going to be used for this, and this section is going to be, and that way everybody, the people you're talking about, I need to go over here because I need to pay rents, and these are going to be affordable rentals, or I can buy over here, and that we're still in that process of figuring that out. But I don't see the housing department going away, in my mind. I'm just seeing it have a scope that's more limited in, say, for example, having more private lending come in on the front side and helping that buyer in the SHIP program. They come in a little bit later, and I think we can speed that process up a little bit and move some people through the program a little bit quicker.
What I don't want to see, and again, this is a personal opinion, is I don't want to see some of our folks, hardworking, probably city employees. And I compliment your employees because really, truly, it's brutal out there. And not just the ones that work in front of my house. They need as much support as any of our other population. So I would hope that you all will work together with nonprofits, but make it good.
I'd like to echo
Please.
working together with the mayor's idea about Habitat for Humanity. I support being in partnership, giving land, supporting Habitat for Humanity. We heard in January that the city of Panama City has a need of more than 3,000 units.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I would like to see us as a commission take leadership in creating a way to create 3,000 more homes, and how long it would take us to get there, and what we can do to move that as an approach. My colleagues have different perspectives. All of us come from different backgrounds.
Right.
I bring into this the background from the nonprofit world, as well as from the worker world. And so understanding that the city of Panama City is the urban core. We've got unique urban issues. And I think the approach is to look at what it is that we want to solve and put an RFP out in the way that we do with private, for-profit businesses. As a nonprofit, this is what we're looking for to solve. You're the nonprofit expert.
Right.
Family services, you're the expert in addressing the needs of family services in our city and our county, because you serve us all. And so with that approach, we, as the city, can take a leadership role in helping us to get there. No
Absolutely.
one nonprofit can do it
No, not at all.
by itself.
And no city entity either, so it takes us all.
Yes.
It takes all of us. On a last note, I saw the sign on the old Panama grammar, but anyway, is it really under contract?
It's really under contract.
Are they gonna tear it
It's
down,
not
or do you
moving
know?
very fast.
No, it doesn't want to tear it down. It'll be an apartment complex.
Yeah.
A really neat one.
Yeah.
It's a neat looking building.
So
I've been in that building over the years several times.
It's similar.
Since the hurricane?
Yes.
It
Yeah,
should
it's-
get
it's-
torn down,
yeah.
but it's
I'm not supposed to
getting
say
torn down.
that.
No, it's fine. As long as you wear the, proper PPE, that's fine. It's private property, so, I mean,
Yeah.
the city,
I was given a tour by someone who had, at that time, an interest in selling, was working with that.
I've
But
been
I
through
had
it
seen
twice,
it
yeah.
through the years, from a different perspective. But I was just curious. That's curiosity. So thank you for
Yeah.
your time, y'all.
Absolutely.
yeah, thank you,
And,
Susan.
See you later.
So I would encourage our citizens to engage with the county. I mean, the reality is the city of Panama City is not the leading expert in housing any longer. 80% of the dollars 2 years ago went to Bay County, and Bay County administrates them. So that's what left the city with about $200,000 worth of funding. There is another $1 million plus in funding that exists at Bay County. They are the leaders of affordable housing and these types of funding out of everybody, and it's because they have the most funding. Ours is greatly reduced. We have a very, very limited scope, and as you're hearing from some of my colleagues here, we used to be able to offer 10, 15 different programs. Well, 10, 15 different programs over $200,000, you're not making an impact anywhere. And so you have to narrow your focus down to what actually you can impact and bring other partnerships along. And so I would encourage the comments that are shared today be shared with our counterparts at the county, because they have vast more resources than what we do in SHIP funding, et cetera, et cetera. The city will always, as a receiving entity, be involved in affordable housing because we are going to receive some funding for it. But our impact in it has been incredibly diminished through the loss of funding, which every nonprofit, what happens, the funding leaves, your impact diminishes. And you have to adjust the sizing of your teams to that impact of funding, which is unfortunate, but that is the reality that we sit in.
So Commissioner Street, would you be in favor of the city going after more affordable housing dollars?
I mean, I'm always in favor of going after things. So I think what's important.
But specifically affordable housing, because it's our responsibility. And I think looking at what you're saying about the county, it's our responsibility to know how much of that is serving the citizens of Panama City. Because we do have a great need here in comparison to the other municipalities and the county.
Are we not already going after more money? We have to tell them to go after more money? Or to me, that would be staff should
They
already
do
be
it.
doing
No,
that.
the question I'm asking is, as leaders, would we advocate for the increased funding for our housing and community services?
Yeah.
Or, as I'm hearing, let's roll back, is the message to staff, don't go after more money?
No, I don't think I've ever said that to
That'd be
staff.
bad.
I think the messaging is you can't have, and I'm just gonna be very blunt in saying, you can't have $800,000 payroll with a $400,000 allocation from community block development and $200,000 worth of SHIP funding. There has to be a realistic approach to what we focus our time and attention on.
And I
And
agree
so-
with that. In as much as the realistic approach should include us taking the leadership role in solving the problem. We know we have a need of 3,000 units. We know what we lost when Hurricane Michael. We're not building them back proportionately because things have changed. So how do we get there?
So I think this is where we may diverge. And so the leadership point, being a leader in the process versus being the point of the spear is two different approaches. I think the agency that has the greatest amount of resources, we have to come alongside those, whether that be Habitat, whether that be the county, whether that be Community Services, United Way. We have to come alongside the ones that have more resources than what we do. Because right now our resources are much more diminished than what they ever have been, so partnership is the most important. That may mean that we have to take not a backseat, but we take a complementary approach versus hey, guys, this is what we do, and we're going to do this. Come on and support what we do. We have to change that narrative to what are you doing? How can we help and support so we can get farther faster?
So, and I think we need the next Housing Coalition meeting to continue to do that work. We had one in January, we had one in February. So when I say we take a leadership role, that is in doing what you're suggesting so that everyone has the same understanding of how we go forward. The way we talk about it here on the dais and what is happening in our community are not necessarily in alignment. So I would be asking that we would have the next one, bring back Florida Housing Coalition and continue the work of crafting a plan for 3,000 units. Is it going to take us 5 years, 10 years,
It'll take
20 years?
80, I mean, if we're building those in-house, you're looking at 200 years.
We do like
I don't
three a
know
year.
that.
We're not gonna build
I'm
them
not,
in-house.
I don't know that.
We're never gonna
I'm
build
not
them
saying
in-house.
we
Yeah.
build them in-house,
No.
Mayor. I'm saying that, what's our plan? How do we
I don't
get there?
think
Is it that the county can do X? We've got the housing department here, we've got Habitat for Humanity, we've got Panama City Housing, we're looking at rental, we're looking at market. If we are not crafting the kind of plan that we've been shown that we can,
So we have to remember something. When you're talking about the county is a money in and a money out. Habitat, great organization, not set up for taking on all these lots and going and building houses. That's not what they're set up for. Panama City is in a unique position. The only city around here that has all the dirt that can create the income, that can generate a department fund that can then money in, money out. It will be the same, but we can create it. We can take all of those NSP homes, sell them when they're supposed to be sold, and create a couple of $1 million and have our own fund, okay? And it start making money. We don't, and as well as taking ownership. There are ways that we control the money and the speed at which it gets sent out.
How much cash do you think is in NSP, Robbie, right now?
well, you tell us, Commissioner,
Cash.
if you know.
Cash.
There's liquid right now. There's $2 million right now. That's
So-
rent. That's rent
Okay.
money that has been saved by Sheila,
So to your point.
and we
to
take
your,
that.
To your point.
Uh-huh.
Your plan, what you just described was to create a perpetual fund that funds itself. There's $2 million sitting in an account that's been sitting there for decades. So if the city was going to take a leadership approach in this, wouldn't that have already happened? There's already resources there to do it. So what's the philosophical change that changes here that creates different results? We have a tremendous amount of affordable housing need in our community.
Okay.
We have cash that's been sitting in an account for years.
Okay.
We have houses that we've owned for decades,
But you can't sell them until a certain time.
but you can give them to organizations that can run them as affordable housing.
But Josh,
I agree you can't sell them.
They're not costing us anything. Okay, the county gave us 12 of them. Okay, gave them to us, and
I vastly disagree that they're not costing us anything.
well,
You've
they're
got some
costing us
people that
insurance. They're
don't-
costing us insurance and maintenance.
Some people don't pay
However,
rent for years.
I get it. I get it. One person didn't do that, but here's the
I'm
deal.
just saying.
You have the opportunity. I'll tell you, in my opinion, why that hasn't happened. I don't think that we have shifted the housing. We're talking about changing its scope, how it looks and how it works. So there hasn't been a reason to go do that because there hasn't been a plan of how housing works in Panama City.
We've had an LHAP for decades. When you're
That-
saying there's no plan, there
Okay.
has been a plan. What I see is lack of results in that plan. That's what I'm trying to communicate. And I think that there's ways that we can get faster results.
I've been in the real estate business for 30 years, and I had no idea we owned this much real estate as a city because the city has never, and I've been pretty involved with it, the city has never gone and publicly worked on trying to dispose of what we have right now. And I think that has a lot to do with there's not been any inclination or push to get
All
rid
right,
of this
so,
stuff.
so let me
That's
give you a
just
good
from my
example.
perspective.
And I think this goes to what was just said earlier. We've been talking about this for now almost a year. What is different? What's different in results? What's
I
different
brought
in
three different
impact?
plans to you guys, and it keeps getting dialed in a little bit closer. And every time I get there, we can't seem to stay on track because all I want is
Because it's very complicated. Government's already complicated, and it's
not
way
the
too
plan to
complicated.
how to dispose of.
Well, I haven't
I
seen a
gave you,
plan.
I categorized it. I told you how to sell it.
Yeah, we saw a
And
spreadsheet, but we hadn't seen a plan.
Well, because we keep trying to talk about it, and then it.
No, a spreadsheet is not a plan. A plan is we're going to take these and do this, and here's the plan.
Yeah.
But so I think it's natural for business owners to come into the seat and then look at a way that we can craft that department. But we're not going to be in these seats forever, is my opinion. And what I'd love to see is the nonprofits come together, identify a need that they see, bring it to us, and then we say, great. 42 whatever, who is the best served that can deliver these results? Well, it may be 10 years of these sort of houses, but they all work and they bring us the need. We simply cut the checks, handle the compliance. We don't go, it's our plan.
Yeah.
We craft this big thing. It takes us a year and a half. We pay all these consultants. We have the experts right here.
What are the results? What are the results that you want?
I think that is the component. We want affordability to be expanded in our communities in the most cost-effective, collaborative way possible. That's part of the reason why Habitat keeps coming up to the thing. You've got business leaders, you've got all sorts of people that are involved in that. You also have the aspect, we got Catholic Charities. They do rental assistance. They do all of these things. Like there is nothing that I would say that we are doing now that is not already existing. And to the point, after a year, my expectations are not being met because I don't see any different results than where we were a year ago. All I see is we've drained more resources out of the accounts because we're not at a delta of balanced. I see that we are still talking about it. Great, awesome, keep talking about it. But the actual results on the people that we're trying to serve, there is no difference.
So would you share with us what's bringing you to this conclusion? I don't mean in this moment, I don't mean right now, but you have you make references that I, as a colleague on the commission, don't have that information that's leading you to those conclusions. And so I'd like to see that, and for us to talk apples to apples. It is unrealistic, I think, that we would, in 1 year, have a solution to this problem. It's a wicked problem.
There's just one. I mean, something, Janice.
Yeah,
I think that's really, I'm not trying to solve the whole thing in one day.
I think that's, I'm not, so I keep referring to, in software, there's a term called cathedral planning, which is this master plan that solves it's also called waterfall development.
And
where
it never comes to fruition.
And never comes to fruition because there's so many wrinkles, and so even software has moved into identifying little pockets of things that we can accomplish in short time periods, testing that, iterating on it, little tiny bites.
And what we don't have is a uniform way of doing that.
We do.
He's
We just
got
say-
his approach, you've got
Totally.
your approach, I've got my
Yeah.
approach.
It's very-
There are 5 different,
Yeah.
or maybe 3.
On Tuesday, I want to discuss us finding 5 or 6 little properties that we should sell. Gather those up, put them on the market. 5 or 6 little properties. that
I
have-
brought y'all 10, and we couldn't get at them. We can't even sell one. That's the problem. If y'all would trust me and get on board with creating a plan, I promise you this conversation would stop.
Yeah, we also put out.
I promise you.
The city put out for the 37 acres, and you lost your mind on the dice when they tried to sell it. Too.
You know
So-
why? Because I had a meeting that said, don't put anything else out there,
Yeah.
and nobody told me it was going to be there.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to create something, we're having a conversation about real estate, and then staff shows up with wanting to sell something. Didn't know that. But my point is, if y'all wouldn't trust me, that this process, you have to have it in order, and I'll write it step by step and bring it to you.
On Tuesday, I would say I would encourage all of us to bring the list of properties you want to sell, and let's talk about.
Mine would
those
be
properties.
very simple. Having talked with Angela at Habitat, they could do about 8 more houses a year.
Yeah.
Why we wouldn't give them 8 lots to do those
Yeah.
8 houses, I have no idea.
Because when you
that's
do,
not the
everybody else
question
will
for
come
me.
line up.
But
Yeah.
that's not the
Yeah.
question for me, is why not to give Habitat what could help them help us in our community. The question for me is how then do we also make that available to other nonprofits so that, and to the small Inc. Dev developers, small scale developers.
Yeah, well, I mean-
We don't have that. And so every time we keep responding to what people bring us, we're being reactive versus taking a proactive leadership role. Another point I'd like to make is that the folk who need affordable housing run the spectrum. It's not just the client for the Habitat for Humanity. That's one client. There are those who are working every day, asset limited, income constrained. United Way has defined them as ALICE. And so that runs the spectrum. And as the gap grows between what it costs to have a sustainable life here in the city of Panama City and what salaries are, that affordability grows. So I think of looking
Why
at the.
is Panama City Housing Authority not a part of that? They have the cheapest rents of anyone that's out there.
Because they don't build anything. We have dirt. We can't just throw it out there and say, all right,
They
I'm
built
not for
2
profit.
apartment complexes after the storm.
They had to.
And
They
Bay
managed
County
it.
Yeah, they
gave them-
rebuilt them.
And we
They
gave
rebuilt
them
them.
money to be a part of that.
Yeah, but they rebuilt them. They're not out actively building. Habitat builds, and I mean, I can't speak for Habitat, but I think if you load 10 lots on them, they love it, but they're not gonna just push those out real fast. So we have the dirt. We make it affordable. See, the component to all this is the cost of material to build a house, whether you buy it or I buy it, it's the same cost. The dirt that I'm gonna give you is what's gonna make your home affordable versus the one I gotta buy.
So here's what I'm looking for.
That's what we control.
I'm looking for small changes or executions that we can actually show whether there's results or not. Because this conversation of hierarchy, and we need this hypothetical plan and all of these other things, after a year it starts to wear on you, and because I'm watching the reserve accounts and those things continuing to dwindle, and that tells me that's less resources we have to go to the next year. Like, let's execute something. And if that's 5 lots, if that's 10 lots, if that's find some place to focus on specifically like low rent, great. I
But
don't.
that's just part of it. Low rent is just part of it. The spectrum is people who pay more than 30%.
I can't solve the spectrum, Janice. I don't think we can solve everything about this.
I'm
And I
not
think
asking for everything about this, but I'm asking for a realistic approach that doesn't just hone in on the very lowest end, right?
No.
When we look at if we just take our city employees and look at the salaries that they make and how many of them are able to afford sustainable what the income is, we're not paying that. That gap is growing. And here in the city of Panama City, I think we have some responsibility to try to close that gap.
don't disagree that we have some responsibility, not all of the responsibility.
I'm not arguing
Now,
for all.
we are responsible for our employees and making sure they make a fair wage and making sure that they're taken care of. But what I'm trying to say is talking more is not getting anyone any closer to having a solution. So what I would love to see, I love this idea of just bring a solution for one part of this puzzle. Like,
Yeah.
stop trying to put the puzzle together and just find a part, and let's show that that can be successful.
And let me tell you where my passion comes from about this. When Hurricane Michael hit and we lost the units that have been rebuilt, we lost ground in affordable housing because when they were built back, they were not built back to the same standard of income spectrum. So while they're coming back online, they are not coming back at the rate that replaced what we lost. So we're getting further and further behind.
And my conversation with Terry is we can't do anything about how many vouchers that we get from that. When those left our community, they followed the people that had those vouchers to whatever communities they went to. Now, I will say this, there's been more apartment complexes that have come off of the tax rolls through their affordability measures. Andrews Place apartment was not an affordable housing complex. It is now. And so I can go down the list of
The
what we're
towers.
saying, the towers.
Well, it was towers.
So what we're saying is, yes, Masalina may have changed, Fletcher Black may have changed, but overarching in our community, all of these apartment complexes have changed to where they set aside a certain number of their units for affordability. Now, whether there's a segment of the population that's not being served is a different question. And what I would say is that let's focus on finding a solution for one thing rather than trying to solve the entire
We don't have enough
thing.
money to stretch the spectrum.
It's
So we have
too-
to, each year, or 2 years, we have to find little bits of, and hopefully identified by the community and the people that are there and saying, hey, here's the need now. Maybe it's a continuation of the 3,400 homes. I don't know, but I think if we're gonna try to solve this perspective, We're gonna have these little tiny
My
buckets.
blunt statement is this, and this will be the last thing I'll say. If something doesn't get results, it gets cut. Like, that is just the reality of things. And that goes like, focus on getting results, and you're gonna always find citizens that support the process. You're gonna find more competitive funding because you're gonna have results to prove what you do. If we walk through a year and we cannot point to what we have accomplished different than what we did the previous year, that is an issue to me. And I don't think that that is a fair service to our citizens or even our team members, because that means we're not more focused than what we are last year, and we should be.
And then that should be applied across the board. If it doesn't.
Agreed.
So to your
Agreed.
point about losing money, this commission, not me, y'all voted to take money from the housing department to buy a paving machine, okay? Not a good idea. Not a good idea.
Don't blame me. I didn't vote for that either.
I know. I'm saying this
Well, you
commission,
did
not
and
me.
then you didn't.
Yeah, this commission, not me. So
That's true.
we can't,
Yeah.
and he's allowed to say it,
Yeah.
not them. We can't say we take from
Citizens
it.
want, but what I will say, Robbie, is it is an eligible use of that funding. Housing is not the only.
But it's a
use for
loophole that they
funding.
found to be able to take
Yeah.
from housing. So we can't say that
In the
housing's not
defense of my
performing,
colleagues.
and then we're taking $250,000 from them.
Well, we,
okay?
we haven't
That-
identified
a year.
that the money was the problem, that they weren't getting as much done. Like, that was the.
No, the money
I
was
would say
money.
that scenario,
The impetus was people
had
wanted the
housing
roads
been
fixed.
working in a way that was creating tons of results, there would have never been a positive to go and do something
Yeah.
else with. It would have already been deployed in creating affordability, and therefore there wouldn't have been excess.
So let me also add that we asked 2 years ago for departments to cut, and housing department has cut.
Yeah.
They've cut back to the bare minimum. And so that needs to be factored in if we want to use this past year as a measure
When
of,
you say bare minimum, how is it bare minimum? Your allocation is this, and your fund and your administration costs are at what your complete funding is. Like,
that's bare minimum.
So how do you do anything? Like, that's like, if you're spending as much on the employees servicing as you are, it's the same question we have so that we understand we're not picking on anybody here. Public Works has the same issue. I can have engineers and I can have people that can go do concrete, but if I don't have the resources to give them to buy the materials, to go and do the work, all I'm doing is just paying for jobs. Like, I'm not getting any results.
Which is going to be another discussion we'll have on Tuesday as well, as we look toward
Because
the
I think
future for
this
the
is not
budget.
just about housing for me, Janice. This is about a philosophical point across every single department. Now, this one is frustrating because we've been talking about it so long, but, it is what it is.
I think the other thing to factor in is the money that comes through housing that buys real estate has to come back to housing. If we do not do that, we have to pay the state back 100% of that money, or the gap that we don't give back.
Agreed.
Okay, so we can set ourselves up for having another debt service, or we can go sell that and fund and get it back. But when we get it, guess what? Now we're creating a fund. I'm looking to try to get away from the
You
200
have a fund, Robbie. That's what I'm trying to tell
the
you.
$2 million.
Like,
Hey,
$2 million is
Guess
a
what?
fund.
You know, she's the only person I found in City Hall that knows how to save $1. Okay, nobody else has said to me, "I have saved $2 million."
But you're
And
not
that's not a
fulfilling
slam on
your
staff.
mission.
That is 100%. That's kind of cool. So it's sitting there. I commend her for that, because now we got something to work with when we start this program. Versus, okay, we got a great idea. Where's the money going to come from? That's all I hear.
And if we have not set policy to spend the $2 million that's been accumulated, does the director in that department have the authority to just start new programming?
They do now. I mean, when's the last time we were part of planning for community block development grant funding? When have I seen a list, hey, pick from these options? When have I ever seen a that? They've obviously been spending money on stuff. And so I feel like this is going too much into this. You're asking for a fund, Robbie. I'm just pointing out that there is a fund. Like,
Okay, then let's give policy to
the question is
direct
why
the
we don't
fund.
have results. That's my question. And when I say results, I'm like, my expectation is $2 million of results. We could take that and we could have given it to Panama City Housing Authority with 32 acres, and sure, go build another apartment
Josh's
complex.
point is, what I'd like to see in our directors is saying, we hear the need of 3,400 homes. We have this cash. Here's the plan to attack it. Not us going like, hey, what do we Why are we?
So that's a policy directive that we can give.
I would also say, though, I understand your point. Here's $2 million just sitting here. We've never given direction. So we can't necessarily retroactively say that it was mismanaged or that there was
I'm not
failure.
saying it was mismanaged,
My
so-
point is that to cast that in a bad light is not exactly fair to that department. But I understand what you're saying. You'd rather have
Yeah, what's
like,
more money going to fix this issue? It's not. You already have money.
you would rather have that department lean into how to dispose of that money, right?
Deployed.
What I'd like to say though is the lady who asked this question has left, and
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
She- hopefully
Hey,
she-
everybody.
Yeah.
Let me ask y'all a question, you three specifically. Have y'all had more conversation in the last year about housing than you had in the last four, in your first tenure?
I'll also
before we
say
got
it's
here?
not fair to say that housing's the only department that has saved money. They're all, I think all
No, I
of
mean,
the
as a savings,
departments-
and I said that's not slim. There's a savings account of $2 million. Show me it. I tried to make one for MLK, and it was a 4-page document. Okay, I'm just saying that she can show me that there's a savings. Any department head wants to walk in and say, "Here's all my expenses, and here's my savings account." I'll be more than happy to look at that.
Yeah.
She can do that.
So
that's
I think
fair.
the word savings is the miscommunication
Okay.
here because
She
that
has
would-
not spent the
that
rent
would
money
be
that she took in on the rental property.
That would be reserves, whereas I think other departments would have cut quite a bit. I mean, we've heard in the presentations where they've done things to cut money or give money back even. Now that's not savings because they're not saving it as in a savings account, but by giving, like the police department gave money back every year, they give money back into the general fund, right? And so that's very similar to. I mean, I think if we were to sit there and add all that up, it'd probably be over $2 million. So my point is that by saying that because the housing department has money that has stayed in housing because it can't go anywhere else,
Because it hasn't been deployed like it was supposed to.
is not
That's
exactly
Josh's
a fair
point.
statement
it's not
to
like
the
it's
rest of
not-
the
It is money that
city.
they have not put into a plan and activated on the street.
It's tied to a program that when it's sold, it can. Okay, let's take that $2 million. Let's say right now
It's
we can
tied
sell.
to a
Let's say we
program
can.
that no longer exists, by the way.
Exactly right. Okay.
So there's a lot of flexibility. with
It no
that
longer
money.
exists. However, we're under the rules of the program that doesn't exist if we sell one house before it's
With the house.
With the house, but that's where this
Not
money
the cash.
comes from. Okay, but hear me out.
You're saying the cash.
Let's say
is
we
used for
sold two of
something
those
other than
houses
housing?
For a it's for a community block development grant purpose. So all the things that we've been talking about,
Parks,
paving,
sidewalks, lights.
sidewalks, those kind of things, those are all eligible uses of program income in that specific
You mean
one.
for
And my
NSP?
concern, yes.
For-
And my
right.
concern is that adding more money to this equation is not going to fix the issue of lack of deployment of the resources that are there. So what I would say in that specific case is, to Brian's point, and to Janice's point, make a plan to deploy the funding.
Okay.
Like, we don't need to sell property and put things back into it because we already have a fund, is what I'm trying to say, Robbie.
And I think one of the things that we also have to look at historically is, one, what was the plan for purchasing all of these properties to start with? Two, what was the plan for the future? That wasn't in place. And a lot has happened in the last 7 years, almost 8 years since Hurricane Michael. And so I think we're at a point now where we as a commission can direct our city manager, give us this plan.
I met with Sheila a year ago, and Sheila's amazing. But I said, hey, I know that you've had all these programs over the year. This is a real opportunity for you to get rid of some programs or add the ones that you want and really shape this department into being whatever you want it to be. Like and I haven't. What I like to hire in my own personal businesses are not people who bring problems, but bring the solutions. So we have a great opportunity, but we're not being presented back. To me, they could say, hey, we're going to do this, this, and this. Bing, bang, boom. And we go, sweet. But so I'm not seeing that.
Okay,
From them.
so-
It really shouldn't
And
be
I've
us.
engaged in
Right.
this, and I got accused of not engaging with the entire commission in it, because like in my mind, the lots were in the district that I should have served a much lower income population than what they actually ended up doing. But that was ignored. And so what I'm trying to say is, results is ultimately what matters. And if we're going to continue to discuss putting more money into a program, there should be results to show, hey, this is what's going to happen with this. With $2 million sitting into account, no one should be screaming about we don't have money. And so it's bizarre to me. It should be, how do I deploy what I have? Like, that, what is the point in selling all the properties to put more money into a program that has $2 million and it's had it
Because
for years?
then you create your own community SHIP program, and you use the lots. When you sell that, you get a portion of that back, put it back in there, and you lower it from $50,000 to $25,000 give, and from $10,000 to $7,000, and now you're going to help more people, because $2 million is not going to go a long way under the way that the program is set up right now. So what I've been working on is trying to figure out how many of those properties can we sell, okay? But every time I get going, then we go this way, and so it's like, okay, well, I'll work on it. But I'm gonna bring you, let's sell this, and here's $2 million. We put that in, and here's how I want to break it down. Y'all decide if you want to adopt it or not. How about that? I'll give you how I see the community SHIP program. It's a reinvestment. After you sell the property, some comes back, some stays with.
I would encourage you to be focused on sustainability as well.
Exactly right. That's exactly right. Yes.
You want to talk about housing? All right, next topic. Who wants to come on down? Come on down, Mr. Frank.
See, but this is what's cool to me. We don't get to do this.
Yeah, this would never happen at
We
commission.
can't do this anywhere else. You know? That's why I like
And I
these
get to
meetings.
go home and you guys get to stew in it.
That's right.
Actually, I would
actually-
hope that you're stewing as well, because there are resources, yes.
Yep. What I've learned is you can walk out this door and stop thinking about it. Because it
Till
gets,
about 3 a.m.
exactly.
Yes, sir.
Thanks again.
Yes, sir.
Let me address everybody. And I gave Mr. Mayor Branch exhibits 3 and 4 here. Generally, this is about the AI data center topic threats that have been made, that makes for the whole country nationally, and then specifically has been addressed by the Bay County Commission the last couple of weeks. And on 7/7, Bay County will put a ban on all structures that are more than 5 megawatts. The state has 50 megawatts, and that's considered an ultra AI data center. The megawatts are the critical issue concerning data centers. After I researched Bay County moratorium, this moratorium would cover only the unincorporated municipalities in Bay County. It does not cover the incorporated municipalities. There's 7 incorporated municipalities in Bay County, and one of those is Panama City. So I said to myself, these people aren't being covered by a ban or any kind of moratorium or any kind of city zoning protection laws against AI data center, and they are very lethal and very threatening to communities' water and also electricity.
Thank you.
So I said to myself, I am going to address the 7 municipalities in Bay County and let them know they have to do it on their own. Panama City has to do it on their own. Panama City Beach has already passed a no AI data center in their city. So each city has to make a decision. Panama City has to make a decision on what they're going to do. And part of that, I've requested Robbie Hughes to make a motion for the city to ban 6-month moratorium like the county, so that we can do research and also from that research generate protective industrial, commercial zoning regulations to protect the city from AI data center abuse. And I have 2 parts here. I'm gonna 3. I asked to be able to address the city commission on their 7/14, Tuesday, 7/14 commission meeting. So that's one aspect I have submitted to try to address this problem. And the second one, I've asked Commissioner Robbie Hughes to introduce a motion that the city, to the commission, that the city have a ban for 6 months. Now, let me tell you, okay, it's very complicated, and I think you can make this easy, and I mentioned that to the commissioners.
You ran over. Can we discuss and then we can maybe ask you questions?
Well, if I can just finish this real
All
quick.
right, give it to us
I
quick.
have 22 seconds.
No, you're over.
No,
You're over by 22.
Oh, okay, well,
The beeping.
the city can get their information from the county so that they can use all the county information to apply to their moratorium, so
Yeah.
the city doesn't have to go through all the legwork.
I believe it's on the agenda for Tuesday. You can give us a little preview?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can come and talk about it then too.
Yeah.
This is our resident nerd over here.
Yeah,
I mean,
Commissioner
geek,
Granger-
Not nerd, geek.
Yeah, Commissioner Granger actually requested under the commissioner section
Okay.
that he and his colleagues discuss moratorium on those for this coming Tuesday at 8 a.m.
Okay, so I'll be able to address.
Yeah.
And you'd be able to speak to it during audience participation
Okay,
because it is an
okay.
item on the agenda.
Okay, now I missed, Commissioner, I was just wondering, at that time, will you announce if you're gonna present a motion to the city for a moratorium?
Would I do it then?
Yeah, I
Right.
requested you specifically.
Right.
So,
Right.
if you can
Not
let me
you.
know yes or no, or you let us know that.
Yeah,
We only want it from Robbie.
yeah.
Okay,
You,
all right.
over there. I think you would take it for anybody, but he wants you to make that motion.
That's right. I will.
I do like the concept of just adopting what the county adopted and not having
I
to go
agree.
through inventing the wheel, so.
So the reason why
Big data.
we do have some of the wheel to
Turn on the
reinvent is
computer.
that we have a different zoning and ULDC than the county. So it does have to go through that process and,
That does make sense.
because an outright ban, where a county in Texas tried this, where they were just like flat out, no time limit. They
Sherman
just said,
antitrust, isn't it?
they just said no, and that's
Yeah.
the problem with
Can't do
it.
that.
Is that that's actually the easiest way to get sued is
Yeah.
to just flat out say no. So, but what we do as a commission is we tell people what they can and can't do with their property. As much as some of us may not like that,
Yeah.
we do tell people what they can and can't do with their property. And so
So
using
wait,
those.
we're gonna tell people that you can't put an
but-
AI data center on
But
their
we
property?
do give them places, we do give them choices of where they can put their places.
Exactly.
Not-
Only in
not
Sweet Bay.
A data center, yeah.
Yeah, so the idea there is you use the same tools and your mechanisms that you already have to shape the city as you would like to see it. For the same reason why you wouldn't want to have a automotive garage right next door to somebody's house, right? You wouldn't want to have an industrial plant, right next to a daycare, right? Like there's these tools already available to us, and what we need is time. And so the idea there is to, just like the county and other places around the state, saying, hey, let's do a time-limited moratorium, and because it's time-limited, it's legally defensible, and then we can decide what that looks like moving forward.
If we follow what everybody else is doing, when they sue everybody, they just put us all into one net. So, that way, we didn't dream it up.
Yeah. So the problem with an outright ban, if we just said moratorium on data centers from here on out, some company that has more money than the state of Florida is going to come in and sue us, and as soon as we lose and we don't have anything in place, they can put it wherever they want. So the idea is that instead of just saying no, because that's not the right answer, is saying, hey, here's where you can place them.
We have data centers today that exist.
Yeah, but they're not
servers.
AI.
Right.
That's
So
different.
we
That's a
could
different
say
animal
that
altogether.
if you'll come and build us a new wastewater treatment plant, you'll only use our wastewater to
Effluent.
cool
That's a
your
great idea.
effluent, to
To
utilize
transfer
it.
station,
You will give
all
our citizens
all
free
that.
power, everyone, no power bills whatsoever.
Tim.
So,
There are things that you can put on there. They can't be too
Mr.
onerous.
Engineer over here, you can probably build it
Well,
for
I
us.
was going to ask Tim, how much water did the paper mill use before they
Yeah.
started? I was told
yeah.
24 million gallons a day.
No,
Now
this,
it's all-
this was actually a
24
concept
million
that was talked about.
Actually,
Yeah.
Start the clock.
Before you started the call.
Might
We
wanna
love you,
shave off
Tim.
a minute.
When
it
you
was
and
built
Nevin-
for 40 million gallons a day.
40 million.
Wow.
The plant has a 40, or did have a 40 megawatt tie to Gulf Power. So speaking of a place for a data center, it's perfect fix.
Infrastructure's already there.
Oh,
Has the
Frank-
cooling water. Has the cooling water. Has the power supply already in place.
So the idea
see it
is
now.
you treat them like an industrial type thing because I mean
That is
Exactly.
not in the city, by the way, just so that we're very
That is the
clear.
county.
It's
But-
not in the city.
you treat them like they're industrial because of the potential for the water, the potential for the power. You treat them like they're industrial, and we've already got industrial defined.
Did that,
We
that
already
didn't
did.
have any problem?
But the 30 megawatts of generation is gone from out there, so you can forget about generating power out there. But
Yeah.
the tie to Gulf Power is still going to a substation.
Wow,
Yeah.
40
that's
million
crazy.
Yeah,
And then
40 million.
Just
40 megawatts.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then how much do they go in the bay?
How much?
How much do they put into the bay every day?
Well, everything that came in. So
40 million
We were
gallons.
using about 21 million
A day.
at the mill.
21 million gallons of water in
Day.
the entire bay a day.
But 600 million flows over Deer Point Dam
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of water, the intercoastal waterway, the average leaving Apalachicola River coming this way is 2 billion gallons of water a day, affecting
Wow.
3 bay systems. Not only the Apalachicola Bay, St. Joe Bay's getting all this fresh water that they shouldn't be getting that impacts the scallops, which I love to do, and East Bay's getting a share of it too.
Wow.
So we keep talking about wanting to flush out our bay by opening up the pass, the old pass.
Yeah.
But really, we'd be better served to put a lock between Wimico and St. Joe, just like they have in South Florida, that you could stop the water from going this way and put it back in the Apalachicola Bay.
You're on the bay savers.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the one, yeah. I thought that.
Yeah.
Dusty,
so North-
Dusty
Wow.
May. Dusty
More
May.
stories?
Dr.
The
May.
Northwest Florida
So-
Water Management District, I think, would be handling that.
Yeah.
Would they
So
do that? Would water management do that? Or is that?
They're trying to raise money for another study. And the study involves something that
We study a lot.
We
Yeah. Everything's got to be studied.
if the
We should study.
when the
AI
cut
data
was
center.
made, if it impacted
For years.
the environment negatively, then can be a study made to try to correct the problem. And that's where Bay Savers is right now, trying to get that study started.
So the Eastport terminal is in our city, but the paper mill is in Springfield, just for the record.
Yeah.
So
Well, no, actually, it's unincorporated, Bay County,
Bay County. No, no.
except for the port. The port was in
Okay,
the
the ports
city.
and us and the
Yeah,
actual.
but the actual mill was county.
County.
I think it may be Springfield now, but we'll check.
All right,
I've been told by several people it's in Springfield. So
interesting.
Well, anyway, the idea is to
But you
treat
would
'em
know.
treat them like they're industrial. We already have industrial zoning. We already have requirements on industrial. We can add any other requirements that are reasonable. Otherwise, we're going to be spending a lot of money on attorney's fees.
We already do.
Yeah. And it won't be Nevin. It'll be some other attorney that we wind up using. So there's a
Gracious.
Well, thank y'all for
We
your
love our
time.
staff.
All right, next topic. Who wants to come up next? Anybody else want to talk?
And you don't have to ring go home.
No. Yes, sir. Mr. Thomas, come on up.
Morning. Is there any word on what happened to the bicycle workstation that used to be at the marina, the St. Andrews Marina? It was moved by the city according to the new owners of the marina. the new managers of the marina?
Yeah, I was told it was put back somewhere nearby. That's what I was told by the director. I don't know if they're trying to hide it from you, but I'll find out. So
Yeah, I've asked them and they
I
said
know
I
there's
have
a
to ask
lot of
you, and I've asked
construction
you.
going on the San Andreas Marina, so
Is there
Okay.
still one at Oaks by the Bay?
It's what?
Is there still one at Oaks by the Bay?
The Lake Caroline?
No,
there's
the,
by
the
the
one that's right there beside Amavita, the
The-
Oaks. The
Park-
Where the old general used to be, the tree?
Yeah.
The one there.
Yeah.
That would be a good place to put it. I've been by there recently. I haven't seen it. If
I
it's
think
there,
there
but
was
that would
one.
I
have been
thought
a
there
good
was
place.
one there
there.
too.
So
All right.
if there's not, that would probably be the ideal
It's a
location.
bicycle workstation. Has a pump, so when you get flat
Like a little
tire,
tool.
you can.
Yeah, and there is one at Lake Caroline to Derek's point. I know that one. I see that one all the time.
Notice your rails to trail thing. I was happy when I saw that on the agenda, but it apparently is not where the railroad used to be, where it used to be flat ground. If you're not familiar about that, about 12 years ago, maybe a little more, the county made a deal with the railroad company that they would give up all property taxes in exchange that the areas could develop the old abandoned railroad tracks. The portions of it that were abandoned could be developed, and the county would give up all of the taxes for the whole railroad line, millions of acres of land. Some of it is in the city. In Lynn Haven, they've taken that area and they've turned it into a really nice multi-purpose path where you don't have to deal with cars. I don't know if you're familiar with Washington, D.C., but they have a really great park system where it's just like the Natchez Chase. It's built up on either side of the parks. They have long linear parks that go west to east, and then they get closer enough that you only have to go cross over a street, and then you're in another park, and you can get all the way through the city without having to go out onto the streets with the cars. And because it's in a little valley, it's kind of quiet. And the old railroad tracks, if you didn't cut down the trees that are there right now along the edges and maybe put up a couple of fences and maybe put some murals up in the areas where they're near housing, you could have an area where people could get in and out of the downtown area without having to bring their cars and without having to spend $20 million for a parking garage. And that would give an option for some of the people that live around here to get back and forth to the downtown area. And you've already made the deal where you're not getting the property taxes as revenue in exchange for doing that. And by putting it on Frankfurt, then I don't know if that was just to get the 10-inch water main in there to have more high density, but you're putting a car and a bike together at the same place, which is going to lead to accidents. Even if there's no accidents, the people in the cars will harass the people on the bikes if they're right there touching the street. Unfortunately, I've had several times bottles thrown out the window at me, people flicking their cigarette butts. They, especially at night, are not going to be treating people with respect. And you say you got to close the parks from dawn to dusk, but people can exercise at night. That doesn't seem to make any sense, just like you can't pick a flower. And you've said there's an ordinance against picking a flower in a park. I would hope that you would take some way to put a restriction on when you put in high-density housing, that there's some kind of amenity, a swimming pool, an area to play. 20 years ago, when they were building higher density housing near the bridge, everywhere would have swimming pools. And if you park there, you could use their swimming pools sometime.
I agree.
You put in just high density and there's nothing, and you don't have anything within walking distance, you're not going to be happy with what that looks like after 20 years.
We're doing a rails with trails. Is there there's rails on trails, there's
Yeah.
what's all the different prepositions?
It's rails to trails, which would be old abandoned lines where you basically put the slab right on top of where it was. That's kind of what Lynn Haven did.
So-
And there's rails with trails.
Which is what we're doing.
But it has to be, I think, was it like 20, it's either 20
think
or
like
25
feet away from the
the rails to the side. So we kind of do that in
So like where
conjunction.
the train depot is, where that rail spur that runs on the east side of that site, is that where we're talking about? Going up there and going
I
back to?
believe
Yeah, right
that
across
property
from the-
owner asked
the
it to move to
gas.
the waterfront, and
You mean
I
over
don't
to
know if
Johnson?
that-
Okay,
Yeah, over to
but at any
Johnson
rate,
Line.
it's gonna go, and it goes up like northwest?
Yep.
Okay,
And then we all connect, and it goes all the way to Gulf Coast.
Right.
Which then connects to Gales Trails.
Right.
And then we connect back up all the way to Lynn Haven Rails Trails
Okay.
through Glenwood.
yeah.
So
Well, kind of.
yes,
Around.
I'm
Yeah.
intimately aware of the park and trail system in DC, and I'll just say, for all the complaints about them, I mean, DC, Arlington County, and Fairfax County do an awesome job of connecting, and I feel like that's generally what we're trying to do, working with the county and really all of Northwest Florida with Gales Trails. You come over the bridge, you can connect in a lot of different places, and it all ties together. I've got a big map in my office that shows all the different phases and how it all eventually connects. You know, the one specifically, and Commissioner Granger, I think I know that's right on the boundary between Ward 3 and Ward 4, but coming down Frankfurt Avenue,
Yeah.
you know, you've got a pretty large development there, so there's a punch out on the west side. You come down, you connect back with the rails with trails. You also, connect downtown, I guess in between St. Andrews and Panama City with, the plan was the Beach Drive path going both to St. Andrews and also going downtown. And then you're connecting around the promenade of the marina, and then you can go to the train depot and go back up towards Lynn Haven and Glenwood and all of that. So I think our desire is to do it. And I know the way that they did it up there was the first thing you gotta do is you gotta get the actual path in there and get people using it. And then I think the natural growth around it naturally follows. And the development around it that's appropriate. So, and I used it running and biking for over a decade. So I would love, I would love to, in the next, hopefully 10 years, we see that whole trail system built out in our city, and that's the way we can contribute to it as the city of Panama City. But you've got county and other cities in our area doing it as well.
And then Derek's touching on a point, and he's correct, that bike lane on the side of the lane, better than no bike lane. Best bike lane is one that's disconnected from the road completely with a buffer.
And that Frankfurt Avenue one would be. There's going to be a
And
setback. and all
Ideally,
that.
that's what we want to do.
And to give a
It's-
great example, just this morning or yesterday afternoon, bike lane on 98.
In 15th and Balboa.
15th and Balboa, somebody was hit in the bike lane. So
yeah.
better to have separation. Good to have, but better to have separation.
Yeah, Beach Drive is bike lane in the lane.
Yeah.
Which I've done.
Well, that's scary.
Even my young kids are
I was
like,
gonna take one
"Man,
for the
why would
team."
anybody ride their bike on that?" I mean, it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you had a place, especially at night, where you could get around the city after dark, I wouldn't want to have to go on the east side of the city down Business 98 during the daytime with all the,
Yeah.
you don't really have any safe way to get
The,
around.
just so you know, though, the parks in D.C. and Northern Virginia close at dusk as well. So I lived right beside one. Are we advertising that the new exercise equipment is available at night? Is that what you're saying?
No.
No, you're saying
he's
that
saying that
you
people
can
could
exercise-
it.
It
No.
Oh, I
says
get
the
what you're
park
saying.
is closed from dawn
Yeah.
from dusk to dawn, basically, or from 9 to.
Yeah. Well, that one has lights
6.
though, so
I think it's pretty limited enforcement. I don't,
It is.
because I see people at Oaks by the Bay after hours. I don't think that PD, and I could be wrong, engages unless there's an actual issue.
Yeah, if you're working up a sweat doing some pull-ups, I think.
I don't think you're gonna have a,
Yeah.
I think our guys are more focused on other
And
things.
then what about the picking
Now, you start a
flowers?
fire in the park, then yeah,
Yeah.
then the fire
understand
department will
that.
be there.
has anybody been approached by the police department for picking flowers?
Not that I know
Okay,
of, but
if
I
they
know
are,
that
please
you
let me
have,
know.
I know that you have a problem. We have a rule that says I can.
Deputy
I
Chief,
can-
are
I
we
can
rounding up
decide that
flower
I'm gonna
pickers?
stop you,
No, I think
and
we're
I'm gonna
good.
give you a ticket, but then I'm not gonna stop the guy standing next
Yeah.
to you.
You're hiring
And
Christian.
if you have a situation like that where it's up to the individual to decide who's allowed to use the park and who's not, just by whether
No,
or
we
not
want
they
it to be
choose
consistent.
to give them a ticket.
Yeah, probably if there is a flower picking rule, probably someone was removing landscaping or something.
Yeah, there's a difference between picking flowers and removing landscaping.
I don't know. There's every rule is from someone who did something silly.
Yeah.
And then there's a rule.
It says in your ordinance that you passed that this was the rule, but it doesn't say what the penalty is. So that's all I'm asking. What is the penalty? Is it something?
You're
that-
required to plant 1,000 more flowers.
Hey, or if you're without the money to pay for a hotel room, now the fine is just enough to put you in jail.
I
And
wouldn't
now
do
you're in
that.
jail for picking a flower.
That would, yeah, we
That doesn't-
definitely wouldn't be doing that.
I think that would.
Yeah, well, to say that you wouldn't, but you make the law so that you could, then it's
I'll-
going to create a
I'll
problem.
look into that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Again,
I'd like, Jonathan, can you get with Red Speed? Remember, we were going to meet with them before school started
Mm-hmm.
and look at all the data that they collected about during school hours, in all levels.
Sure, I can, maybe have him even actually join one of our virtual workshops.
Yeah, that'd be
good?
great. Let's
Okay.
do that.
Yep,
Yeah, and make sure the public knows about that.
absolutely.
All right, we have 30 more minutes to keep talking. What's the next topic?
Or
Or
we
we
can
can go
get
home.
back
Or we
the
can go
30
home.
minutes we spent last time.
Yeah,
Oh, that's right, we did, we went
That's
a
right.
little bit over.
Well, I wasn't here.
I wasn't either. Oh, man.
Yeah.
we can follow Gina. It's real easy. You just walk right out with her.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, come on up.
Hi, I just moved to Panama
If
City.
you just wait until you get to the microphone, we have people watching online.
no
That's it.
worries.
There
You
you
can
go.
pull the mic down.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Hi, I just moved to Panama City. I lived in Calhoun
What's your name?
previously.
You don't have to
My
give your
name-
address, just your name.
My name is Patty.
Hey, Patty.
Hi, Patty.
I live over on Woodridge Road, which is a cut through, and I wasn't sure if that's actually in the city or if it is county.
It
It's
is.
city.
It's city. Okay.
What road is it?
Woodridge.
Yes.
Woodridge. Yes, it's cut through.
Cuts through to
So
get to
the-
Venetian
Oh,
Building.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, it's
there's
not
only
really
about
supposed to
500 residents that actually live on that section of road between the apartments and condos and everything. But everybody from Venetian Villas drives through there to use the light. And
It's
that-
Landmark Apartments 2.0 is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
There used to not be a stop sign there.
yeah, and I live right at that stop sign, and people do 55 on that road.
They blow through the stop sign?
They blow through the stop sign,
Do you guys put speed bumps?
and
We don't do speed
Go ahead,
bumps.
go ahead.
I believe it's marked as 25. And I was wondering if there is an initiative in Panama City where you give out like signs that say like for yard signs for people's yards that say keep kids alive, drive 25 or anything like that, or what it would take to get a speed hump there.
Yeah, that question gets asked a lot. I remember
Yep.
when I moved in Kings Point one time, this guy, I literally went out in the middle of the road and was just like, stop. You are driving too fast in this neighborhood. That's when I realized I was an old man. It's a great question. We get this all the time. People are speeding in the neighborhood. It happens in your world a lot too.
So this is in Ward 3, and prior to 2023, there was a young man killed himself on that road, driving too fast. Going the other direction, going from North Shore to Venetian Villa area. So we've come in with the little round, what do you call those? I call them turtles. What are they? Those little bumpers?
Like they're flat delineators.
Yeah, so we came in with
Lane-
those to kind of
lane
squeeze the lane in some because it used to be
Restriped it.
super wide. We striped it because it wasn't striped.
Added the stop sign.
And then we added the stop sign because people were like, "Hey, we can't even get out, right? We aren't even able to exit because people are driving through there." I would say that we probably need to have some police, presence in that area for a bit. I think her dog got loose.
Oh,
But I don't know. I've been working on speed cushions as a prototype. The city hasn't used speed cushions before. They're basically speed bumps, but they have brakes in between them so that ambulances and fire trucks can get over them very quickly. I don't know if you've ever been in a fire truck.
It won't
but-
take us long to figure out how to do that, too.
You mean it's not like the ones that are over in the parking lot there? My Alta, they've got little.
Yeah, they got spacers so
Yeah.
that yeah. So
I figured that one out.
Because
Yeah.
ambulances and fire trucks have wider wheelbases than most vehicles, so you space it out to where they can drive directly over it and not have to actually hit the bump part of it. But yeah.
School zone there.
Yeah, we just put a school zone in. We can make a ton of money off that, right? Yeah. So it is a problem. There's several of these in Ward 3. It was particularly bad when there was construction being done on 390 there. But it is something that we are working towards. We have these speed cushions. There's been 3 that have been installed as
Yeah,
prototypes
we
in the
have
city.
one over in 20th.
And we're just making sure that they work and that they
And people don't do what you described, they just go down the middle.
yeah and that that they're reliable, right? Because they're hard rubber. So we're kind of testing them right now, and if they test well, one of the things that I've been trying to work on with staff is a program by which citizens can say, we want these. And then very similar to the county's,
Participation paving thing?
yes, yes. So the county has a participation paving program where if you're on a dirt road in the county and you're like, hey, we want our dirt road to be paved, you can get your neighbors to agree. If you get enough of your neighbors to agree, then the county assesses all the houses that would benefit to I think it's 40%. I could be wrong. It's either 40 or 60. I can't remember. But the idea is that if the neighborhood wants it, then the neighborhood can help pay for it because they directly benefit, but then also the city can help pay for it as well. So it's kind of a split.
That was going to be my second question.
Yeah. We're working on that because the city just doesn't have that program yet. We just don't. So I'm working towards that. I want to make sure that I have an acceptable solution to be able to provide for something like that, and then also have the program in place so they kind of converge at the same time. So yeah, we have an acceptable solution, and then also we can put a program, and then bam, here you go. If y'all want it, neighbors can petition. We can tell you how much it's going to be, how much that's going to be assessed to the property over how many years, if any. It kind of lets it to where people can make an educated decision on what they want.
Well, thank you. That's good to know because we've had complaints in various roads in Ward 2. The police would come out and put up the sign that works maybe a week after,
Yep.
and then it's back to where it was.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, having police come out and just, go ahead, you've got more, sorry.
I do. So the next question is, do y'all have a movable sign that's up on 390 in Lynn Haven where it flashes
Like that.
speed limit, whatever, that
Y'all
can
got those
be
all over,
put
don't
on
you?
the street for a little while?
We have 3 of them?
Got 3 of
Yeah,
them.
so I just want to clarify that the purpose of that trailer though is actually to do a traffic study. It's not just telling people to slow down, it's actually recording data that our police department then analyzes, and we kind of find out what high speeds are, what the low speeds and what the average speeds, if there really is a speeding problem. And so that is great data. As far as like something more permanent, we normally wouldn't put those in residential areas because we'll get complaints that it's always flashing into my bedroom window when I'm trying to sleep at night. So there's always kind of unintended consequences. But I think maybe, one thing.
But it'll be
Commissioner-
her bedroom window.
Well,
I would be fine with that.
yeah, I think
My
one of the
bedroom's on
ways.
the back of the house.
We only narrowed the lanes with striping and the little delineators. So one thing we could potentially do is actually narrow it and move actually put a curb in, like more of a hard boundary, and then put like a sidewalk in to encourage that. I will say this though, and I know our risk management team will tell you the problem with the rubber type, not really barricades, but speed humps and stuff is eventually those bolts start popping up, and we get claims all the time about the rubber thing flipped up under the car, or they hit it on the bolt. The bolt popped up and it popped my tire. The asphalt speed bumps, they require maintenance. They start chipping apart and then they damage cars. So it's tough from an engineering and from a data standpoint. One of the best things you can do is physically in a hardened way narrow that lane to really slow people down. I wish we could put a cop on every street, but I mean we'd probably need 1,000 cops instead of 100.
we could deputize citizens and give them.
The mayor's already deputized. He has a little police sticker badge. So.
Really?
It says junior officer on it.
Junior officer.
You and Smokey the Bear hang out.
Well, I'm not under 18, so I don't think I
It's
qualify
a
for
junior
that.
officer. So I'm junior.
Did we add one stop sign or two? Is there one at, let me pull my map back up.
It's right.
Is there
almost
one
in-
at Woodridge Place or only Woodville Lane? I can't
Woodville.
remember which one we did.
Woodville.
All right, we maybe want to both because technically, number one, you don't use stop signs to slow people down. You use stop signs because we need traffic to come to a stop so that people can safely pull in and pull out. So if Woodridge Place and Woodville Lane are both feel like it's not safe to pull out, then I would support putting another. That would really stop people from cutting through and make the folks in those stretches, those cul-de-sacs, feel safe pulling on the Woodridge Road.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I mean, she said that she's seen people blow through the stop signs. Like
I
they're not
mean,
even
I
slowing
almost
down.
got hit 3 days ago because I was pulling out, and somebody just blew through the stop sign. I did not see them when they were coming down the road because they were just going that fast.
There's
So-
probably specific times of the day that people are, going to and from work. That's probably we could look at.
Sean McNeil gave us a program
10th Street. Yep.
on 10th Street that we've yet to kind of implement. So if we can find out where that is. Aspen, Colorado has a way of doing local traffic in which it's like a block by block approach. And it's done pretty cheaply through delineators, several other things, a little more than we've done. We've not done this anywhere. And so Sean and a couple others in the neighborhood proposed it. And it turns the road from being a pass-through road to being one that you can feel safe to walk on, but you can also get where you need to go. You're just gonna have to go
So you'd
slower.
like block off one end of the road? Is that what it
No,
was?
like I maybe you could circulate.
I can
what
circulate
Sean-
that. It's,
circulate what-
he
he's an
provided a
engineer, I'm not.
conceptual plan,
Yeah.
and it's being designed, amongst 100 other things. So
I have the same problem with Huntingdon.
yeah, Lindenwood.
Lindenwood, yeah.
Briarcliff.
Ward 3 was basically designed with cut-through roads.
Lindenwood's a sore spot for me. 'cause-
Well,
It's a 2-year road.
I'll say it. Lindenwood was self-inflicted by the residents. I'm sorry.
That was
The city
a-
wanted to fix that, and they said no, and they were told you're going to turn this into basically two 22-foot like fresh asphalt lanes, freeway, and we wanted to put sidewalks and narrow the lanes and everything.
You're touching on what he's trying to say is when roads are lanes are wide and there's not a friction of trees and things, you naturally feel like you can go faster. Some people are jerks.
I
and
don't.
Some people just
Well,
naturally.
it feels good in one aspect, like if you drive, but if you look at the unintended consequences that perpetuate
When you
over
feel like a
time.
road is, when you're apprehensive about driving a road, you actually drive it safer. That's the
And
reality.
slower.
You feel like it's
And-
dangerous, so
and
you drive
usually
safer.
somebody's taking a cutoff because they're trying to get somewhere quicker. So,
Yeah.
To that point, before Cherry Street was narrowed, you could come down Beach Drive and turn there by Cove Condo, and it was like wide open. It was going uphill, you could take off, man. Now you're like, I don't know about that.
So you've heard, right, Commissioner?
Maybe. Just somebody was telling me that.
I just wanted to ask if there is a schedule of like when different wards are going to be paved also.
There is
We
a
were working
schedule.
on that.
Yeah, there is a website. There's a subpage on our website that shows the plans, and they're on there. So if you want to, afterwards, I'll give you my card, and if you'll email me, I'll send you the link directly.
Okay, that's all I had
that's the
then.
best way to get it.
Thank you.
But to that point, we still need a 10-year paving plan.
Right.
We do
And-
not
and-
have that.
I think it's
and
coming.
It is coming. As a reminder, we got the road management technology, and we're actively right now amongst a number of vehicles, basically having them drive over, almost 300 miles of our city. There was a little bit of a delay with some of the equipment, but they have all that. It's being installed now. Once we have that, we'll be able to take all that data, the PCI, all that kind of good stuff, and build that out. So
I thought we were
it's in the
already
process.
tracking that.
We are. I just don't know where it is in the process,
Okay.
but yeah. So.
All right, we have 20 minutes. Anyone else want to talk about another topic?
I move we adjourn.
Me too. Virgil's not allowed to talk today, is it?
All right.
Oh, did you have
I
something to
didn't
say?
know Virgil was over
Somebody
there.
said
I always
anything.
want to hear from you. Come on. You're always
on
so
down.
nice about it, too. You're nice about it.
Sometimes. Actually, I wasn't gonna say anything because Nevin's he's gonna do the heavy lifting.
Oh.
But all the talk about affordable housing for people to live, we're working about affordable places to put people to rest, permanently. So it's been almost a year since we've asked for a hillside expansion, and so Devin's gonna take the heavy hitting for y'all, so thank y'all.
You'll just find out about it.
Now, that was the notice right there, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you publicly to Virgil because he's taken on a leadership role in the Hill community. And so, they've come before us to talk about the crossings on 15th Street as well as Robert and Mary King Park. And he serves on the Hillside Cemetery Committee. So I know Commissioner Granger has a project of putting together a trust fund for cemeteries. And
We've got to fund it. So
yeah.
Robbie's
We
gonna
got the
bring that
trust.
plan.
There's all the
That's right. No, he's not. I don't know about dead people.
That's the big problem with that one, is we got to fund
And
it.
that's a big expense, too, by the way, that cemetery. Yeah.
Well,
I think 5 million probably would get us in a good position where we could have a self-sustaining fund for all the cemeteries that we're responsible for. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
And just want to remind you that the Hillside Cemetery isn't necessarily one that the city is responsible for. Neither is Redwood, and there are historical reasons for that. So I think that community cemeteries ought to be included in the trust as well. And so that might make that 5 million a little bit more if you've only factored it based on Greenwood and Oakwood.
It might. So depending on what happens in November, I mean, we don't, I don't know. That's the,
So your thought is to fund it out of the property taxes?
all I'm saying is that this is an unprecedented time of resource constraints. And I'm not sure whether or not we're going to be able to fund that or other things, is my point. So, if we can't fund, normally cemeteries are funded through interment fees. Anytime anybody dies, you charge money to put them in the ground, basically. And,
Which doesn't work if you don't have any place to put anybody.
it doesn't work when you have a full cemetery. So.
And we have several of those.
We do.
Yeah.
So then it's, where do you get the money from? That's tough. That's tough. So,
Is the hill the Frankfurt and
No, it's.
Frankfurt to Lisenby,
yeah.
and then 14th Street to 19th Street,
yeah,
roughly.
and that's filled up?
Oh, Hillside.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you
Hillside.
meant.
That's at
No,
23rd.
Hillside.
Lisbon.
Yeah,
23rd
Hillside is on
Yeah, 23rd
23rd
Lisbon. Yeah, okay,
and
yeah.
Lisbon.
Drive through there.
Right, yeah,
and
yeah,
that'll
yeah.
answer
No,
your
yeah,
questions.
mhm.
I mean, there's
Now, we-
literally,
Have you guys talked about
Yeah.
like replacing the fence and a few other things that are over there? I mean, I know I drive by it almost every day.
Yeah, that fence is no longer in production, and so we've had quite a few of traffic accidents on Lisbon and 23rd that,
Yeah.
resulted in that. Now, to help with the issue of running out of space, we did acquire Covington Cemetery, which is on Lisbon. I think the address is 1525 Lisbon, and so that gives us some room, but we really
what,
do.
5 more plots?
Well, it's a little bit
It's small.
bigger than that, but it is small. But the hillside expansion opportunity afforded us by Royal American would make it easier for everybody.
So the property that's next to that big.
Greenwood.
Well,
The issue is that there's a conservation easement. Now, the DEP thinks it can, part of it, if not all of it, can be lifted. And so if,
That's
at that
interesting.
case, Hillside agreed to split the parcel, which would give Greenwood clean boundary lines, and then Hillside would take the other portion of that, because it's kind of subdivided by Friendship Avenue.
So I would suggest, as you guys are looking at that, to Commissioner Granger's point, that these cemeteries, as they fill, the cities that do it the best, they become actually almost a park amenity for people to run through quiet spaces, along paths and those kind of things, a quiet place of reflection.
Well,
That makes it a lot easier for us to justify maintaining something long-term if it has a public use
Well, and then
as
just the
well.
eyes of people in there, you catch people doing things they shouldn't be
Right.
doing.
Yeah.
Not
And it's
that-
funny
not
that you
bury
would
people,
mention that, because I came
Well, it's
about
possible.
that property as we were looking to put a bike path, to go along with the Robert and Mary King Park at Oak Grove Field. So that's how I came about that,
Well,
looking for ways to
What's
get eyes
great
through this stuff.
too, Virgil, so you know, that Rails with Trails project that we were talking about goes right past the cemetery. And so that'll open up doors of opportunity on the Sun Trail Network to compete for funding, to help build those paths and those kind of things. So just kind of keep us in mind. I'm sure Nevin will kind of keep us updated. But yeah, as you guys do the expansion, if we can figure out a way for maintenance, that would be really good, because that one is very difficult. I've been on several volunteer teams that have gone into that specific cemetery.
and then
It
Greenwood as
is
well is full.
an
And that's where Hawk
insurmountable
Pasadena is very-
amount of work,
Yes.
because it's all hand, it's all
Right.
by hand.
Right.
So
Not going in there with a machine,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
it is, staggering. I mean, you can take 60 people and you can still not get through cutting it in one day.
Wow.
So it's amazing. It's big.
And when you need to cut all that stuff, it's the hottest time of the year too.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe the rumble lawnmowers would work for cemeteries.
Oh, the little yeah,
Robot.
the robot guy. Yeah.
Robots.
Yeah.
Little
It just
robots
bumped a
in
lot
there.
to move. Ran over Johnny.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, I guess meeting adjourned.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes, all right.